Good evening there. My name is Jojo Sayson. I'm a physical therapist, also a doctor of manual therapy, and a research scientist and co-investigator for NASA. And we studied astronauts in 24 expeditions for the International Space Station. So I'm now here with you to give you a little bit of science input and background on a few questions that I received care of Dr. Faye Gloria Schmidt. And this again is, I guess I'm on the right school, right? This is Bartram Springs Elementary School, right? And Jacksonville, Florida. So I received a few questions, so I'm going to answer that within 10 minutes. The first question is, what does it feel like to be in zero gravity? So zero gravity just means that there is no gravity. Here on Earth, we have what you call 1G. So that's the reference point. Zero gravity, no gravity. 1G is gravity on Earth. But in reality, as long as there is a big object pulling you down, let's say the astronauts in the space station, they're still close to the Earth, right? So that means the Earth is still exerting a tiny bit of gravity, tiny bit. It's almost imperceptible. So the correct term is microgravity. But for the sake of discussion, we'll just call it zero gravity for now, okay? So the first question I got was, what does it feel like to be in zero gravity? It's actually kind of interesting because when you see movies of people in zero gravity, it just looks like fun, like you're just flying wherever you want to go, just like a superhero. But in reality, it's a feeling of helplessness. Helplessness. What does that mean? It means that you are subject to the first law of Newton, law of motion. It means that, for example, an object will remain at rest. Let's say this ball here, it'll always be at rest unless some force hits it. Or an object can remain moving in one direction, let's say you threw a ball, unless a force hits it or affects it. For example, if you threw a baseball, you threw it hard and it'll keep on going up, but the gravity on 1G keeps on pulling that ball down until it starts falling down. It loses momentum. But if you're in space and if somebody pushes you, let's say this astronaut here, and suddenly we're in zero gravity or zero G. If I push, let's say my friend here, I pushed my friend in zero G that way. I just pushed him. He'll keep on going and tumbling unless something else affects that person. So if you're in zero G, let's say you're in the space station, it's kind of helpless. That's why the space station has handles. You got to keep on holding and pushing yourself. So that's the first law, the law of motion of Newton. So it is helpless, but it's kind of fun if it's only for a little bit. Second question I have here is that, can you experience zero gravity without going to space? Yes, you can. And I actually did that. We used a 727 plane. So it's called a parabolic flight. So that's where astronauts train to experience zero gravity, but only for short amounts of time. So what it means is that zero gravity experience is just like falling. Let's say, I think it's better this way. Have you ever ridden a boat? Let's say there's a sailboat, and let's say you're the astronaut right there. And then you're hitting some waves, and suddenly there's a big wave, boom, and throws you up. And once the boat comes down, you are also coming down. That's actually zero G. So zero G is nothing more than falling. So the astronauts in the space station, they're falling. The space station is falling to Earth with the astronauts, but they have a constant speed that's fast enough that it keeps on falling around the curvature of the Earth. So it's like when you're in an elevator, and I know you've experienced that, and it went down too fast, and you jump while it's going up, you'll feel like suddenly you're in zero gravity. So here it is again. This astronaut here goes up and gets bumped, and that's actually zero gravity. All right, so you can experience that. On airplanes, the same way. The airplane goes up, with the astronauts or us training there. And when it comes down 45 degrees and suddenly the plane is falling and everybody inside is kind of tumbling and falling as well. So that's how you can create zero gravity in space or here. I'm sorry, on Earth. You can also get a ball. If I throw a ball, it'll keep on going up fast, but it's going to slow down because gravity is pulling it until it stops. That's actually your zero gravity. And then it starts falling again, faster and faster and faster. All right? So that's how to experience zero gravity without going to space. And the next question is, what does zero gravity do to the human body? Well, it looks fun, but not very good in the long term. You see, on Earth, on 1G, our body responds to forces. Let's say when you walk, there's weight. And when you want to when you build muscles, you lift some weights. So these are forces that the body requires so that the body can produce cells. When you're walking and jumping, it produces bone tissues. And because of the weight, our human body actually is like a big waterbed. It's like a bag of fluids. So all the fluids are going to be heavier down here on the legs. So if you remove that gravity, what happens to the fluids? Suddenly it's going to be distributed. It's going to come up and it's going to be filled up on the head instead of the legs. That's why the astronauts suffer what you call bird legs, puffy face, bird leg syndrome. Kind of funny, isn't it? Puffy face because all the fluid goes up, so their faces are a little bit puffier, and the legs are going to be skinnier because all the fluids are going to go up. So a few things. Of course, in space and zero gravity, there is no up or down. Here, we know where up is or down because we have our feet with the pressure. We have a reference point. When you're in your zero G, anything can be up or down. It's like standing here on the surface of the earth, and then if you think about the people standing in China on the other side of the world, their up is actually our down because they're opposite, right? So if this is the earth, people are standing here and some are standing here, so they're basically opposite. Their reference points are different. So in space, you don't have a reference point except for your spaceship. All right, I think and also there's dizziness because in your balance system there are fluids in there. It's like a cup of water. When you turn to the right, then the water kind of moves, and then turn to the left, moves, and just like a cup of water, and it moves. The cup moves, the water stays level. But in space, the water will be everywhere. So the hair cells in your inner ear will detect that it's everywhere. You can easily get very dizzy. And you know what happens when you're suddenly very dizzy? You throw up. So the astronauts sometimes have that problem. And because of the forces that are not there, it makes their muscles shrink and the bones diminish because there's no force. We need that force to maintain muscles and bones. So those are just a few things that happens. So let's go to the next one before I run out of time. This is really a great question. How is the spine impacted by zero gravity? This was asked by a 5th grader. Wow, you should be an astronaut. Well, this is what happens. Now, you see the spine has bones on top of each other, right? And in between those bones, there's what you call discs. Those discs actually have the ability to expand or contract. So it's made of fibrocartilage and water. So when you're sleeping, you're not putting weight on the disc. So at night, the disc fatten up a little bit. During the daytime, when you're standing and playing, it's pressing on the disc, so the disc squeezes some of the fluids out. So in the mornings, you are actually taller than at night because the disc gets fat and gets smaller because of the compression and the water going in and out. But in space, you have this constant pull. It's almost like sleeping, being in bed forever and ever and ever. So what happens to the disc? Keeps on going expanding until it starts developing back pain. Now, when there's not enough forces to the spine and the discs and the muscles, it degenerates, it gets weaker. So by the time they go back to Earth, which is 1G, now those cells, the bones and the muscles and the ligaments are weaker, then they can easily hurt their spines, in which a lot of astronauts develop those back problems. And that's actually part of my research with NASA. And I think the last one is about how does zero gravity affect space travel? It's easy. Well, remember, there's no force to pull you down. So if you have a spaceship and it's going one direction, let's say it's close to a planet, then the planet is going to pull that spaceship toward it. So you need extra force. But with zero gravity, it can keep on going. But sometimes, or most of the time, we don't have enough fuel. So what the space program does is they use slingshots, slingshot approach. So that means if this is my spaceship, I'll probably go around a planet and the planet's gravity is going to hit it. So it's going to pull me and I'm going to keep on going faster and faster until I slingshot to the next destination. Well, time is up and I've passed my 10 minutes, but all I can tell you is that keep on studying, love the science, but also spend time with people who know more than you. And I know that one of you listening could be the next astronaut that's walking on the moon. So always learn and share your information with people. And I have one last thing to tell you. You know, this ball that I was working with, it's not a ball. It's actually my nose. So good luck, kids. God bless you all, and see you in space. Bye-bye.